Hey, beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. Guess you can call it a podcast. You guys, we're here today. We're not going to unpack a pod or the pod, the JBP. We are going to talk about some things that's been happening because we have quite a few things to discuss. Some things happened over the last, 3 episodes or so? So let's get into it. All right, you guys, let's start it off with the Tiana Taylor interview and the fact that it was fine with me. It was entertaining. I didn't hate it. I do hate the fact that he is doing so many interviews. However, that one was tolerable. It wasn't even that long. It was fine. But we're going to start with the first incident that stood out to me in this interview. Let's listen to it. I'm not going to start it from the beginning, but let me just give you a little bit. Joe was asking about, I guess she has a song called Poom Poom something, Poom Poom Drop, Poom Poom something. And he was asking where, her motivation came from for that song. And then Imani started doing The Lion King because we know Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa, that's her man, her man, her man, her man. So then Mel made this noise, and then we get the incident. Let's listen.
I don't like that shit at all.
Energy is infectious. Hey.
I never thought it'd be you. I never thought it'd be you, girl. She crazy.
Hey, girls will let you know when they fuck your nigga, ain't it?
Wait, girls are what?
Nothing.
Girls are what?
They have their own Neanderthal speak up here. And sometimes it goes right over the head. I don't know what that means.
That nigga, please don't.
What? Come again?
Yo, this is why everybody should go home, man.
So as you all could hear, Joe said, girls will let you know when they'll fuck your nigga, when they'll fuck your man. And we all know that's because, again, she is with Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa. And Mel had made a comment up there a long time ago when he was first in that movie on Netflix, and way before he got with Tiana Taylor or whatever. Everybody thought he was handsome. She said something about him being handsome. So that's where that stems from. However, you don't play with people and their men like that. You don't. And you see, at first they laughed it off. Even Tiana laughed it off because I don't think it really hit her until she said, oh, hold on. Mel kept saying, what? And I hate the fact that he put her in that spot. Like, yeah, y'all can joke like that, but don't joke like that with company. And don't joke like that. Don't put her in that kind of predicament with company and about her man. Like, don't play with people and their men, because as you can see, Tiana got a little serious. Like, listen, nigga, be clear. What are you saying? And yeah, it just wasn't cool. Like, it was a joke, and he could see that it was getting uncomfortable for both of them. So he backed out of it and got out of there like right away. But the fact that he even did it, Joe plays too much. Plain and simply put, he plays too much. But he put Mel in a predicament. And you guys, this video might be caping for Mel a little bit. I don't know. We gotta see. All right, y'all, let's now get into the pod episode number 852, Who's Gonna Save Superman. Let's talk about some stuff that happened there. All right, so Flip and Parks opened the pod with, of course, music, because that's what we do, the intro. And he went a different way. As opposed to R&B or rap, he went to the white music. So we had, oh, kiss me beneath the milky twilight, leave me. Y'all know that song. And then it went to, I just wanna fly. Put your arms around me, baby. Put your arms around me, baby. He played a couple other songs that I didn't know, a couple white super rock songs, and then he ended it with Teen Spirit. Hello, 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 hello. So good intro to me. I wasn't mad at it, and a lot of people in the comments weren't mad at it. So the other people, I'm just really surprised. The other cast members that weren't feeling it, like noses turned up, talking about how Joe wasn't gonna like it. I think Joe is gonna like it. Joe is a music guy, and if you are a music person, you can definitely see beyond hip hop and R&B. Like, you like other genres of music. It is not just one thing. Like, you can be multifaceted and like other things. It's okay. And I'm really surprised that Imani had his nose super turned up, and he's a singer. How do you not like other genres of music and just kind of pull from everything? Surprising. But, nothing really surprises me with Imani, and we'll get back to him. So the first thing we notice is that Joe is not there. Of course, if Flip and Parks are doing the intro, Joe's not there. And now we find out, if you're Instagram, if you have him on Instagram and you see his stories, you know that he went home. I guess maybe they had a reunion or something. The food looked good as shit, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. But that's why he wasn't there. So then Mark comes in. They're playing Cardi B's song. And can I just say that Parks is ridiculous with that fucking aux cord. Like, I hate him being in charge of the aux because he kept over talking people. He kept overplaying the goddamn music. And I'm like, give it a rest. And I know that if Joe was there, he'd have been like, give it a rest. Another thing I noticed is the good doctor, Dr. Mark, constantly siding with Mel on everything. He is so pro-woman, everything. And I'm not mad at that. I'm a woman. It's fine. However, I don't know that that's how he feels about every little thing. It just seems like he's trying to constantly have her back. And while that's nice, it's like, why? It's not coming off genuine. Like, it really isn't. So I wish that he would just be himself. And then let's talk about the fact that upon looking the second time, let's get to the whole throw from Imani and the fact that Flip actually started the whole thing. So Imani reads, and he reads this thing. And now when I watched it back twice, you guys, I saw that Imani read something a couple seconds earlier, and then they spoke a little bit about it, and then he wanted to read again. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, when the fuck does Imani read this much on the pod? Like, he's usually not even on the main pod. And why is he reading this? It was a bunch of nothing. And even after he read it, he was like, oh, so all of that just means no. And it's like, damn, Park said that before you even started reading this whole thing. And it was hilarious when he finished and Flip said, I don't like the way you read. And I just fell out. I fell out. But again, upon watching it a second time with my boyfriend, I saw that Mark had that coffee for a while. So that coffee was not scalding hot. It was not that. I mean, it probably was still hot, and even still, nobody wants it spilled on them, period. Even if it was cold. If it was ice cold, don't nobody want shit spilled on them like that. But it wasn't scalding hot, so that's good. So after Flip says, I don't like the way you read, Imani's like, here, you read this line. So Flip reads or whatever, and then Imani is like, what, I sound stupid? And it's kind of sad that Imani is just so, he comes off like he thinks he's a playboy and all that or whatever, but he just seems like a little kid to me. Like, he really seems like he's not confident. Like, and I don't know if it's because they've built this whole narrative around him, which he hates, him being broke, him being less than smart, and I don't know, but he comes off broke and less than smart. So there's that. But so he asked the question, and he asking Mark, did I sound, stupid? And Mark is like, no, you sounded exactly how I thought you would. Because y'all know Dr. Mark is an asshole, and it's hilarious to me, but he does a lot. It's just so natural for him, and it's just hilarious, you guys. He reminds me so much of my boyfriend. That mouth, the quick-wittedness, I love it. I think it's hilarious. But Imani didn't. So Imani picked up a toy and flung it at Dr. Mark. Not even flung it, he threw it at him. Top speed, and hit him dead in the neck. Like, it was like partial face, partial neck, and he spilled coffee all over him. And everybody's like, oh my God. And immediately Mel gets up to go get Mark something to wipe off with. And she also gets Imani some glasses because he was saying that he couldn't read because he didn't have glasses. So she very nicely was like, okay, here, next time you need to read, you can use these or whatever. And he slaps him out her hand. And Flip is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, anger management is not working for you. And Mark does this laugh after he gets hit and gets coffee all over him. And it's a long laugh where it's like, okay, I felt like he was mad for real. And I was not wrong because I heard the little spaces that they did. And it seems like they both were kind of shitty to each other. Mark wasn't happy about what happened, and Imani was kind of unapologetic from what I got off the spaces, the couple seconds that I heard. But yeah, Imani out of bounds. Like, he is off the chain. And I think he really does have an anger management issue. And for him to just be like, oh, he's fine. No, it's fine. The furniture's fine. Listen, I didn't mean to do that. And think that that's okay. That's not okay. And I can't wait to see what his consequence is, because it seems like Joe wants to fight so hard for them to be professional. However, it's not a professional environment, and he doesn't run it as a professional environment. And Mel is allowed to come up there and get drunk half the time and sound a fucking mess. So there's that. And, it's like you got to choose. Either we're going to be professional or we're not. So I don't know if he's going to do anything to Imani. I mean, we know that Mark is the golden child right now, so you can't really fool with him. But also, it was just rude. Like, it was unexpected. It was rude. It was not warranted. It was unnecessary. It was all of that he should not have done. So with that, we're going to move. But I can't wait to hear what Joe has to say about it. And he has to say something about it because that was a huge moment. Like, it was huge. We're going to move on from that pod. I do just want to say thank God that Mark came, because he really did save that episode. It was not great before he came. The first 30 minutes was a snooze fest. And I'm sorry, the more y'all let Imani talk, the more I hate it. Y'all got Imani and Mel on there. Oh, that's no good. That's no good. The other thing is that Flip was really, really mad about Imani throwing that shit at Mark. And he even said it later on in the pod where he was like, I don't like that shit you did. You guys can think that Flip is slow if you want. Yes, he plays slow. He plays slow on TV, I think. But I don't think anything gets past Flip. I think he's so much smarter than everybody gives him credit for. I swear to God he does. And he don't miss nothing. Flip says a lot of stuff that we be thinking. And Joe even said in the last pod that, yeah, Flip thinks a lot like me. And he does. Which is why Joe acts a fool with him. But yeah, Flip don't miss a lot, you guys. He's very, very observant. So we move from that one. Let's get to the very last one. I think it's the last one with Joe and JD. Oh my God, y'all, these interviews, what the fuck? I'm over it. Like, I'll get off Patreon if I need to, because I'm not paying for these interviews that I don't like. I don't watch them. And I attempted to watch the JD interview after I read some comments, and some people were like, oh, it was great. It was a great interview. I'm like, okay, let me try it. I couldn't get through 2 minutes of it because all he kept saying was, yeah, I'm JD, and $10,000. I got that. It's not a big deal to me. I'm JD. And I'm just like, I read a comment that said he is really trying hard to seem very relevant still, or let people know that he's still important, and he's kind of not. You know what I mean? Like, he's not. So, listen, not taking away from what he did, and by JD, we're talking about Jermaine Dupri, but not taking away from the fact that, he did some legendary stuff, and I guess he's a legend. But I just don't need to hear him talk. That's all. But we're going to go back to that interview because some things did happen. So now we start off the JD pod. Well, we don't start it off. We actually fast forward. Like I said, we don't watch him. We don't listen to him. So we fast forward all the way to almost the end. Maybe an hour or so left, or maybe not even. And we get to what's his name, Joe, saying, the trade Imani for Flip during interviews, that's a good trade. And he starts clapping, and Mel starts clapping, and everybody else is just looking at him. And he's like, what, am I wrong? And everybody's like, yeah, some people want to meet Flip. Like, some people like Flip. They want to meet Flip, and I'm not clapping for that. And Mark says, Mel, you're clapping for that? And she's like, well, Imani does do better than him. And Joe is like, damn, she's just always take it too far. And they're like, Mark is like, well, he's going to find out. He's going to hear this. And she's like, I don't care. He'll say it himself. And miraculously, which is so funny because this is like the second or third time Flip has done this, he shows up. He's right there and he's coming and he's like, what are y'all saying? And Mark is like, oh yeah, Mel, you want to tell him what you were just saying? And she's like, I think that you would agree that, you don't like being in on the interviews. And they're like, no, you said that he's not good at them, this and that. So Flip is, of course, pissed off about it. He's not happy about it. And then Joe is like, well, with Mel, he's like, anytime Mel asks a question, I cringe because you never know what's going to come out her mouth. And I died laughing because I guess it's true. I don't really watch the interviews, so I don't know. But I know anytime Mel speaks, I cringe. So there's that. But she gets mad and she's like, oh, well, then I will mute the fuck up then going forward. I will just mute up. And I'm like, great. Or you could just exit stage left. The whole pod. Just exit the whole pod. So Flip tells Mel, listen, I always got your back. And Joe kind of backs him up like, listen, I just feel like you don't come to his defense when people be tearing him up in the comments saying that the only time he speak is when he's talking about you. And Flip is like, yeah, little do they know that you're on the side telling me to turn up and say some stuff. And, Joe is just like, yeah, you don't say anything. You let him take the brunt of everything, people kicking his back in, and you don't say this is my guy. And I'm like, because it's not her guy. How many times has she thrown him under the bus? She don't really fuck with Flip, and I don't think Flip really fuck with her. Like, I don't know, this whole thing that they got going on, it is just crazy to me. But anyway, we end up getting to homie court. Ice is like, listen, so, Imani says something and Flip kind of clowns him for it. Oh, they said something about the catheter or something like that. And Imani is like, y'all do this thing or whatever. You and him, where y'all just kind of joke. And Ice is like, well, listen, I got a homie court. So we get the whole homie court music and everything. And Ice is just like, listen, what y'all did last time, y'all made him come out. That shit wasn't cool. He wasn't trying to say anything. And Imani was like, oh, this is about me? Oh, okay, let's get to it then or whatever. And then he's like, oh, let me say something though. If I really had an issue with it, I would have told them to take it out. I didn't really have an issue with it. And then he turns around and says that he did have an issue with it. What the fuck, Imani? What's wrong with you? You don't know how you feel. You either liked it or you didn't like it. And you got somebody having your back and you can't support him. Like, you gonna come and kiss Joe's ass like, no, it's totally fine that you told the world that I have a catheter. So then we have Joe like, yo, why am I in it? I didn't do it. Flip is the one that came out with it. And Ice is like, nope, you did too. You the one said something about the catheter. He wasn't, which is true. I've watched it a couple times, and yeah, they both kind of pressed him into doing it, and then he said what he had to say. Flip did a whole lot of pressing. And I don't care what you guys think or what you guys say. I believe that Mel knew something was wrong with Imani. How many times has Flip said, Mel listens, Mel hears stuff, Mel knows stuff, like she be eavesdropping or whatever. And the fact that she asked for him to work for her, how weird was that? It was a weird request, and she wouldn't request it if she wasn't trying to figure out what was going on with him, or she did not know that something was going on with him. So I'm sorry, I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe that Mel didn't know anything. She clearly knew something was going on with him, which is why she had Joe ask for him to work for her and bring the whole thing out. So Mel really started it, if you ask me. But a lot of people want to be like, no, everybody said she didn't know. I don't believe shit that comes out of Mel's mouth. I'm sorry, I don't believe her for nothing. So we finish Ice's homie court with Joe saying he's innocent, and he puts on Jigga Kelly not guilty and starts dancing around or whatever. And Then Imani is like, nope, nope, I have another, because he actually turned it on in the middle of Imani speaking, which was very rude. And it's a very serious subject that we are talking about. Imani having bladder cancer and having a catheter in and everything. That's not anything that's really lighthearted, although it's been nothing but jokes. So he dances around or whatever, and they ask Mark. They're like, Mark wasn't here, so we have to ask Mark, guilty or not guilty. And Mark says not guilty, which I'm like, I don't know what's going on with Mark, because how do you look at that and be like, oh, I think he didn't have a problem saying it? He did. Anybody with eyes could see that he didn't really want to say it. Sure, he gave in to peer pressure, but you could tell he didn't want to do it. So for Mark to be like, yeah, it seemed like he really kind of wanted to talk about it, and he was just kind of potting and kind of just siding with Joe. I don't like what is going on with Mark. I need him to switch it up and just be himself again. Like, what the fuck is going on, Dr. Mark? Like, you're my favorite, but I need for you to get it together. Unless that's how you really feel, which, that's unfortunate, because this dude really didn't want to say anything. So then again, Imani says, listen, I have another thing that I want to bring to homie court. All right, so Imani ends up telling them that, he tells Flip that Flip and Joe kind of joke when the subject is serious and they shouldn't be. And Flip is like, yeah, okay, noted or whatever. And they just kind of, go around it. And stay with me, because there ends up being a whole lot of messiness going on, because once he says that, Joe gets offended and he's like, oh, now I got to bring something to court. And he's like, you know what? I don't want to hear anything about you being mad, because why don't you just be mad at who you're really mad at? And he keeps making this, this comment about who you're really mad at. And he's looking at Mel and laughing. And so they're laughing or whatever. I don't know. Does Imani really care if Mel cares? I don't know. But, I mean, that wasn't the premise of what his issue was. His issue was about you and Flip. But, okay, if he want to move it, that's fine. So Imani, laughs and, he just kind of laughs it off. But Flip is like, yeah, Mel, you never called and checked on him or anything. And she's like, well, I asked him how he was doing during that podcast, which Mel is... she's such a jerk. Like, she just really is. And so she's like, okay, well then fine. Imani, how are you? Are you okay? And he says, yeah. And she's like, okay, good. And they're like, Jesus, Mel. And Imani's like, yeah, well, people told me that, upon looking at it, the playback or whatever, you were smiling. You were kind of smirking or whatever. And she's like, no, I wasn't smirking. So then people always talk for her. Like, I can't stand the fact that Mark and Joe just kind of speaks up for her and like, oh no, kind of in her defense, shooting her a little bit of bail. She, doesn't know what to do, kind of saying that she's awkward in awkward situations, and she laughs as opposed to, really feeling her feels or whatever. And I know there are people who do that, but I don't think that that's Mel. I really don't. Like, I don't think that she's that awkward that she laughs in situations. I just don't think that's her. So again, I hate the fact that they spoke up for her and didn't let her defend herself. Like, leave her alone. Then we find out that Mel ended up having to go to HR. And it's so funny when he says, I sent her to HR. And I'm like, who's HR? Did you just send her to anyone's HR? Like, HR for what company? Does he have a real HR company? And he's like, yeah, it's a black lady. She went to go see HR. And Flip made it seem like something happened. We find out from Mel that it was maybe, 6 months ago or whatever. And I don't know what was going on. But he said that she was just like, oh, the guys up there are just, making me feel like this and that or whatever. So that's why he sent her to HR. So Flip made it seem like it was something with him and Ish. And Ish was like, don't put me in it. So Flip is like, hold on. He don't know that he was included? So apparently they were making Flip think that it was an issue with him, Mel, Flip, and Ish or what, And apparently it was just Mel and Flip, I guess. Flip didn't go anyway because, Mel was like, I went and spoke to her. You never went and spoke to her. But Flip was surprised that Ish didn't know that, he was supposed to be at HR. And yeah, that would be why he didn't go, because he had nothing to do with it. So Joe says, yeah, and once she finished with the HR lady, she was like, oh, I'm okay. Everything's okay. And she says, no, I saved y'all. And from what I gather, because she didn't really go into it, she wouldn't really say. It sounds like she said, well, the way that the lady wanted me to go was a different avenue. Like it was a different avenue that she wanted me to go. And from what I got from it was probably the lady was like, listen, listen, sweetie, you can either, one of them need to be fired because this is no good, or you can like sue them, or like she was saying, do something to them, because why else would Mel say, yeah, I saved you guys. And I do believe she saved them. I do. Because a lot of stuff is inappropriate up there. However, I do feel like Mel allows it, and she kind of plays into it a lot. Like, I couldn't stand the fact that she would just be making so many sexual innuendos or whatever when she first came, and just playing into this video vixen role. And I'm sorry, I can't get past the whole thing with her and Ian in that hot tub or that sauna or whatever, and her with her legs cocked open and her boobs out or whatever. Like, she plays into what she would like to call a stereotype, although she says that she really has kind of she had an alter ego, or she would play up this Betty Boop type of thing or whatever. I don't know. Or what was it? Not Roger Rabbit. Who was the rabbit? The girlfriend of the rabbit or whatever. Jessica Rabbit. All of that being said, I do believe that Mel saved them. I do believe that if you take their behavior to any HR, no matter if it was Joe's real HR or any HR, they are inappropriate. So, yeah, she probably definitely did save them. Then we move on to, again, Joe has a case against Mel for the way that she came off with Imani, and once she found out, and it seemed like she was laughing. And then he says, and you know what, I hate to do this to you, but the whole thing with the Malcolm Jamal Warner. And we all know that Malcolm Jamal Warner was on her podcast, her actual, what is it? I don't know the name of her podcast, because I would never in my life watch it. So I'm not even going to try to think of it. But he was on there, and as soon as he passed away, they put out clips of him talking about his legacy and what he would want his legacy to be known as. And she changed the title to his last interview. And yeah, that's when the fireworks began, because Mel just gets totally upset. And do we care? But let's get into Mel getting upset, because she really did snap off. All right, so let's back up. Before we get to the Malcolm Jamal Warner, let's get to the fact that Mel says she couldn't really show any care or concern for Imani because of the narrative that they have built up there. Like, if I show any sort of anything towards him, then people are going to really believe that something happened with us because of what you guys came out with. So then, Joe is like, we didn't do that, him and Flip. And then Imani's saying, he cuts in like, no, this whole narrative with, she and I, you and Flip completely came up with that, and you guys did that. So then everybody gets up once Joe says, well, yeah, but what about the fact? And Imani says, what fact? And then he starts laughing, and Mel is kind of smirking. So yeah, they really did mess around. And Joe is like, yeah, it's a fact that they messed around. But still, it's not something that they should have really brought to the pod. I mean, it's not something that they really should have done. But, it happens. But it's not something, it wasn't their business, Flip and Joe, to bring it to the pod. But it is what it is at this point. But I do understand what Mel is saying. Look, I can't, be super concerned with him, because then people are going to be like, oh my God, they're messing around again or whatever. So I get it. But Flip is saying you could have called him outside of the pod and you didn't. So yeah, Mel is just a shitty individual. So yeah, Mel ends up going crazy, and y'all know her favorite word is the F word. So she's like, "What are you effing trying to say? And what the F? And this is F." And she says that it wasn't her that changed the heading; it was the people that work for her. I don't believe that. Like, again, I don't believe anything that comes out of Mel's mouth. And Joe even says, "Yeah, that's Cap. He's too old to say Cap." I'm just gonna leave that there. But he's like, "I have the whole Ian text thread. Like, that's not how it happened." And she's like, "You know what? I hate the fact that you're bringing this up and it's muddying the waters. And this is a very sensitive subject to some of us." And then she's like closing her eyes, like she's just so touched. And it's like, girl, it's a lot that you're doing. But she's pissed off. She's pissed. And again, we have to apologize to Mel. So then they start, "Oh, I'm sorry, Mel. Get off Mel, not too much on Mel." Everybody apologized to Mel, and Flip is like, "I wish I would." And then of course he ends up apologizing or whatever. I'm so sick of them apologizing to Mel. Get her the fuck off of here. And I keep trying to curse and whisper because I don't want people to hear me. But anyway, she's so pissed off that she doesn't speak for about 30 minutes or maybe until the very, very end of the pod. And works for me. Like, I wish she wasn't there to speak at all. So, listen, it's a win. What I did like was the fact that afterwards, Joe said, after he apologized and everything, he was like, "Listen, I will say this though. No matter how much the baddie cries on the stand in real court, that's just not gonna fly." And I'm like, "Thank you. So why are we letting it fly here with her?" You guys, I think that's pretty much it. Ish ended up walking off and coming back like super later. And the fact that they all keep getting up and walking around and doing whatever they want to do drives me crazy. It's just so unprofessional. I mean, I understand that they are there for hours and hours, but it's like cut or something. But them just getting up and walking off and going to get something to drink or eat, or it's like, what the hell? So again, professional or no, I don't know. All right, you guys, that wraps it up. So if you are still here, you are the real MVP. I appreciate you for being here. Please consider subscribing to the channel. It is absolutely free for you guys. Just a click of a button means the world to me. Absolutely nothing for you all. Like, it's just a click of a goddamn button. So let's click the button. We are trying to make it to 1,000 finally. And you are, I already said, the real MVP. All right, let's get out of here. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Smooches.